Stop. Look at this metal. Look at this absolute disaster. Rust everywhere. Flaking, crumbling, ugly, deep orange rust that looks like it has been sitting at the bottom of the ocean for 100 years. Now tell me, what would you normally do with this? Sand it? Wire brush it? Spend $40, $50, $60 on rust converters and primers from the hardware store? Or would you just throw it away and replace it? Because that is what they want you to do. That is exactly what Big Auto and the coating industry have been counting on since the 1950s. They want you to spend money, your money, over and over again. But today, that stops. Today, I'm going to show you one single liquid, something you can buy for less than $2 that will chemically destroy rust at the molecular level and leave that metal looking factory fresh. Not just clean, not just better. Brand new, permanently sealed, permanently protected, and permanently rust-free. No scrubbing, no sanding, no mechanic needed, no expensive products. Just $2, a few minutes of your time, and the formula that the automotive and steel industry buried decades ago because it was too simple and too cheap. If this is your first time here, buckle up. Because what you're about to see is going to change the way you look at rust forever. Stay until the end because I will show you the full before and after reveal. And trust me, you will not believe your eyes. Here is something they never told you. Back in the early 1950s, industrial chemists in Germany and the United States already knew exactly how to neutralize rust permanently using a simple, cheap acid compound. It was documented, it was tested, it worked incredibly well. So why does nobody know about it? Think about it. If rust could be stopped forever for $2, who loses money? Paint companies, rust converter brands, auto body shops, steel replacement manufacturers. Billions of dollars? Gone. So what happened? The formula was quietly pushed aside. Patents were filed around it to make it complicated. Expensive branded versions were launched. The same chemistry, dressed up in fancy bottles, sold for $30, $40, $50. And the cheap, raw version? Hidden in plain sight. Still sitting on store shelves right now, used by industrial workers quietly for decades. Known by old mechanics who never told anyone, this is phosphoric acid. And in its raw liquid form, it costs less than $2. You can find it in hardware stores online, or sometimes even in cleaning supply shops under different names. It has been the secret weapon of professional metal restorers for 70 years. And today, we bring it out of the shadows and into your garage. All right, let us talk about what you actually need. This is the best part. The total cost? Under $3. Ingredient number 1, phosphoric acid solution around 30 to 40% concentration. You can buy this at most hardware stores, plumbing supply stores, or order it online. Cost? Roughly $1 to $2 for a small bottle, which will treat multiple large metal pieces. Ingredient number 2, clean water. Just tap water from your sink, free. Ingredient number 3, an old toothbrush or a cheap paintbrush, probably already in your home. Ingredient number 4, a clean rag or paper towels, also already at home. That is it. 4 items, $2 to $3 maximum. No special tools, no expensive kits, no trips to the mechanic. One important note, make sure you get phosphoric acid, not hydrochloric acid, not sulfuric acid. Phosphoric acid specifically. It is milder, safer to handle with basic precautions, and it does something the others do not. It converts rust and then leaves behind a protective iron phosphate layer. More on that in a moment. Let me give you the science. But do not worry, I'm keeping this simple. Rust is called iron oxide. When iron or steel gets exposed to moisture and oxygen, those two things react with the iron atoms and create iron oxide, that red, crumbling, flaky mess you see on old metal. Now, most rust removers just scrub it off mechanically. You sand it, grind it, wire brush it. But you are not actually fixing anything at the chemical level. The rust under the surface, still there. Still spreading, still eating your metal from the inside. That is why rust keeps coming back no matter how much you sand it. Phosphoric acid works completely differently. When it touches iron oxide, the rust, it starts a chemical reaction. The acid breaks down the iron oxide molecules. But here's where it gets extraordinary. Instead of just dissolving it and leaving bare, vulnerable metal exposed, phosphoric acid converts the rust into iron phosphate. Iron phosphate is a completely different compound. It is hard. It is dark gray in color. It chemically bonds to the metal surface, and it is highly resistant to future corrosion. So you're not just cleaning the rust. You're turning the rust itself into a protective armor layer. The metal is now chemically sealed from the inside out. No new rust can form on that treated surface because there is no exposed iron for oxygen and moisture to attack. This is why it works permanently. This is why it lasts forever. And this is why it was too threatening for the rust treatment industry to ever want you to know about it. All right, the lab is ready. Let us do this step by step. I'm going to be treating 3 different pieces today. a section of a rusted garden gate, an old car bracket, and this wrench that has been sitting in a bucket of rainwater for 6 months. All three are covered in thick, deep orange rust. Let us start. First, look at your piece closely. Is there loose rust, dirt, or grease on top? If yes, knock off any large loose chunks with your brush or just your hand. You do not need to sand it. You do not need to wire brush it down to bare metal. That is the whole point. But any thick mud, oil, or grease should be wiped off with a rag first. Phosphoric acid works on rust, not grease. A quick wipe is enough. But do this for all your metal pieces before you start the acid step. Done. That took 30 seconds. Now, for moderate rust, you will mix 1 part phosphoric acid with 2 parts water. So, if you pour a small amount of acid into a bowl, add double that amount of tap water. Mix it gently with your old brush. If you have very heavy, deep rust, like that car bracket, you can go stronger. Use 1 part acid to 1 part water for heavy jobs. Important, always add acid to water, never water to acid. This keeps the reaction controlled and safe. This mixture is now your rust-destroying weapon. Cost so far, roughly $1. Take your brush, old toothbrush, cheap paintbrush, any stiff brush works, and dip it into your acid solution. Now apply it generously directly onto the rust. Do not be shy. Coat every rusted area thoroughly. Watch what happens now. Can you see that? The surface is already starting to change. That bright orange rust is darkening. You can sometimes see a slight fizzing action. That is the acid reacting with the iron oxide in real time. You are watching chemistry happen right in front of your eyes. Apply the solution to all 3 pieces now. Make sure every rusty spot is coated. If your piece is large, work in sections so the solution stays wet. Now here is where patience pays off. Leave the solution on the metal. For light rust, 15 to 20 minutes is enough. For moderate rust, 30 to 45 minutes. For heavy, deep rust, like this car bracket, leave it for 60 to 90 minutes. Do not scrub, do not touch it. Let the acid do all the work. Look at this gate piece after just 15 minutes. The orange is completely gone. What you see now is a dark gray matte coating. That is the iron phosphate layer forming right in front of us. That gray coating is not dirt, that is protection. That is the chemical armor bonding to the metal surface. Now look at the car bracket after 60 minutes. Incredible. Even the deep pits and recesses where the rust was thickest, all converted, all dark gray, all protected. Once the treatment time is complete, rinse your metal pieces with clean water. Pat them dry with a clean rag or paper towels immediately. Do not leave them wet. You want to get that surface dry fast. Now look at this gate piece. Hold it up to the light. There's not a single trace of orange rust left. Every surface is covered in that hard, dark gray iron phosphate coating. Run your hand over it. Feel how solid that is. Not flaking, not loose. Completely bonded to the metal. And the wrench? Look at this. This wrench was almost unrecognizable under all that rust. Now it looks like it just came off a factory line. The markings are visible again. The surface is smooth and uniform. 1 treatment, $2, 60 minutes. Now, the iron phosphate layer is already protective on its own, but if your metal is going to be outdoors or exposed to constant moisture, like that garden gate, I recommend adding 1 thin coat of clear lacquer spray, rust-inhibiting paint, or even a wipe of linseed oil over the top. This gives you a double layer of protection, the phosphate layer working from inside the metal, and a physical barrier working from outside. With both layers, you're looking at metal that will not rust again for years, potentially decades, even in harsh weather, even in coastal, salty environments. This combination is exactly what professional metal restorers use on high-value vintage cars and antique industrial equipment. And you just did it for $2. All right, let us talk about what just happened here. 3 pieces came into this lab today looking like they had been buried underground since the 1950s. Heavy rust, deep pitting, flaking and crumbling all over. And now, look at that garden gate section. Before, bright orange, flaking rust covering every inch. After, dark gray, hard iron phosphate coating. Smooth, uniform, completely sealed. The car bracket. Before, so rusted you could barely tell what shape it was. After, fully restored, every contour visible, surface solid and clean, and the wrench. Before, covered in thick rust, markings unreadable, surface rough and flaking. After, looks brand new. I could hand this wrench to someone right now and they would never guess it spent 6 months in a bucket of rainwater. No sanding, no grinding, no $40 rust converter spray, no mechanic, no replacement parts. $2, 3 ingredients, and a formula that has existed since the 1950s. This is not magic, it is chemistry, and now you know it. Before you go and try this, a few important safety points. Phosphoric acid is much milder than other acids, but it is still an acid. Always wear rubber or nitrile gloves when handling it. Protect your eyes, wear safety glasses. Work in a ventilated area, outdoors or in a well-aired garage. Keep it away from children and pets. Do not let it contact aluminum, zinc, or galvanized surfaces. It will react differently with those metals. This treatment is specifically for iron and steel. If you accidentally get it on your skin, rinse immediately with plenty of water. It is not dangerous in small amounts, but always treat it with respect. Store your acid solution in a labeled, sealed plastic container. Never use metal containers for storage, and never pour unused acid down a drain. Dilute it heavily with water first, or take it to a chemical disposal site. Follow these simple rules, and you will have zero problems. And there you have it. The $2 liquid that Big Auto and the rust treatment industry buried since the 1950s. Right there in front of your eyes. Phosphoric acid. Simple, cheap, permanent. I want you to go and look at the rusted metal in your home right now. Your tools, your gate, your car chassis, your old hinges and brackets. Because all of that can be restored today for less than the price of a cup of coffee. And it will stay restored forever. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, what rusted metal are you going to fix first? A car part? A garden tool? Old outdoor furniture? Tell me in the comments. Your comment might just become the next video in this lab. And if you learned something new today, and I know you did, hit that like button right now. It costs you nothing, and it helps this channel reach more people who are tired of spending money on problems that have cheap solutions. Hit subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss a single experiment. Because next time in this lab, I'm going to show you the $1 powder that removes 15 years of oil stains from concrete in under 5 minutes. The auto industry hated that one too. Stay curious, stay in the lab. I will see you in the next one.